Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of my podcast with James. Hello, James. As you can see, this podcast is unofficially sponsored by Next.
We're looking good.
For our Christmas jumpers. And yeah, so kicking off from last episode, me and Brad, we spoke about the importance of personal branding and connections. And I'd really love to hear your view on this and how you built your personal brand.
Well, it was a nice introduction, and thank you for having me on there. Personal brand is getting more and more important, no matter if you're an accountant, teacher, whatever field you're in, because it's always, I have it in my head as to when you're not in the room, what do people say about you on there? That's the front and foremost on there. So the personal brand is sort of when someone says your name, what springs to mind on there? Now, from watching this podcast, they may now think jumper for me on there.
Christmas crazy.
Yeah, but it's like most people know me from posting online about ACCA exams, how to become a qualified accountant, and I help people around the world who, they might not come from an affluent background or anything like that, but the content's free, and it's to help them maybe get that promotion or go into that new field or start up that business, learn about investing. That's my kind of, that's what I really get out of bed for in the morning. And then you've got to work out what your personal brand is that when you're not in the room, what do people say about you on there?
So it's almost like a reputation, really, because I was watching a video about just someone talking about what is a brand. It's not a product, it's not a place, it's not even a promise. But people say it is that, what people think about that brand, what their reputation is. So it sounds like that having a very authentic personal brand, which is so close to the heart and what gets you out of bed is the best kind of personal brand.
Yeah. Just for record as well, I'm not trained in anything to do with marketing or social media. I'm a qualified accountant by trade on there. I've just purely learned about this through putting myself out there on social media, like people who are watching and listening to this now going, oh my gosh, James, I'm so scared to post out on there. What my mum think? Well, I can tell you now, my mum follows my stuff. So she tells me what she thinks on there. She thinks some of them are bad. So there will always be criticism. There will always be that sort of price of putting yourself out there. And there is risk but you've got to weigh it up. This is the way I see it in my head as to you've got two prices to pay. You've got the price for all the hard work that will go into it because it is not an easy gig.
Yeah.
Or you then have, on the other hand, the price of regret for not starting, that if you came and saw me in 10, 15 years and you go, oh, I wish I'd have started that business. I wish I'd have started that podcast. I wish I'd have gone to that country. And that, the price of regret weighs so much heavier than the price of doing the effort and putting yourself out there.
Okay. So building on that regret, and like you said, 10, 15 years time, if people see us and see where we've got to, how can we almost talk to them 15 years ago and where we are right now? People that don't really know how to start on social media. You've said it was fairly easy, you weren't trained in it, but what is the tips you'd say to actually, let's say they motivate themselves, they're inspired to start. Where should they start?
So there's always someone out there who has done what you want to do on there, and you can go onto the likes of YouTube, Google, just work out like what was their journey on there. So anyone could go online and have a look at my first ever YouTube video, which is sat on the floor during lockdown. I had long hair and everything. And it was one of those days where I couldn't go into work. I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't contact the family. We all had to stay in. And I went, literally, James, you've been saying for ages, you're going to record content.
Yeah.
Today is the day. And I now use that video to encourage other people to say, look, I had a rubbish camera on my laptop. I didn't have a microphone. It was blurry. The sound was off. The background was rubbish on there. But still, that is Genesis for me as to that is the first one. And since then, if you just say, can I get 1% better in each piece of content? And it doesn't have to be perfect. But some of the best content is people walking to the shops and they'll do a little video on there. It's brilliant. You have, just to get across to the viewers, you are literally one video away, one post away from your whole life changing. That's it. But you've got to put yourself out there. It's sort of like throwing mud at a wall. Some of it will stick, some of it will just fall off on there. But if you don't try, don't throw it at the wall, then you're never going to know, are you? So.
But it almost sounds like you had to get to a bit too deep here, but almost a darker place, a harder time to push you into it. And so I think for anyone who is, not struggling per se, but maybe things aren't comfortable or things aren't easy. Instead of looking at this as an opportunity and being scared from it, actually now is probably the best time. And most people who have started when things are a bit tougher.
Yeah, definitely. There's sort of two things to that. Is number one is, what is your why? First of all, so my why was, when I finished university, I was there searching online, trying to find like an accounting. It's called a study contract, basically, where an employer will pay for all of your studies on there. You work for them, get paid. It's brilliant on there. And I thought, this is fantastic. Why don't more people know about this?
Yeah.
So that was my first why, which I now help people around the world to do. And then the second thing was, when I was doing my studying, I was sort of by myself on there. There was the highs and lows and work-life pressures and everything. And there were days where I did the exam, and I kid you, I'll put it on camera now, where I did the exam and I was just so shattered. We've all done it before. I can't fall asleep on public transport, but I got on the train and I nearly ended up, I think, in Grimsby or somewhere like that. And the conductor woke me up. I said, "You all right?" I went, "Honestly, I'm just so shattered. I've been working so much." And hence why I put my content out there for free. And I used to go from house to house with my little bags. And I went, "Oh, I'll get round to posting it. I'll get round to posting it." And it was sort of that, I just needed that little nudge to go for it. So work out what is your why. And I watched a great podcast online, obviously not quite as good as this one, but it was a case of, he said, well, imagine you didn't get paid to do it. Would you still post the content? So imagine I was posting videos online about accounting and I didn't get paid for it. Would I still do it? And I went, yeah, of course I would, because it's going to help thousands of people. And then lo and behold, down the line now, we're getting monetized from it. Companies get in touch. Affiliates marketing gets in touch now with like wanting to promote products. So yes, maybe just go do it. It's mental. Yeah.
But to go do it, viewers out there, I think they were saying is that purpose needs to be embedded into it. And like I think a lot of people who are in my position, 21, 20, 22, who are looking at jobs and careers, would you give that same advice? It purpose needs to be embedded into it, and maybe avoid, $1,000 or $2,000 extra £1,000 a year, or this and that perk. And actually the best perk you can have for a job and for work or a side hustle is that purpose.
That was really, really good point, because I say to lots of my students in class, as to give or take which stat you read online, but 75% of people actually don't like what they do. And I sort of finish that up with and go, well, good job I'm in the 25% then. And I sort of just to get it across as to, you've got to spend so much of your time working. Pick something that you have purpose and drive that you really, really want to do. And maybe if you're thinking about doing that sort of side hustle or that venture, what I've always previously done is worked a role full-time on there and then started working on the side, weekends, evenings. And for pure transparency, of course, it's hard work. You've got the opportunity cost of watching Netflix, chilling, doing nothing, all these sort of things. Football, indeed. Football matches, that's an hour and a half. I can get 2 or 3 videos done that can be seen by tens of thousands of people. So you're going, obviously, if Leicester are playing my team, then I'll watch them.
Well, I think, as you talk about social media, and actually, I think there's a buzz around it. I want to get involved, but has it ever affected your mental health? I know we just spoke about, you doing it as a side hustle and giving away your weekends, your evenings, that game or that movie. Has it ever kind of got to you? And or if it doesn't get to you, how do you navigate kind of using it?
No, really good question. First of all, it's all about your expectations on there, first of all. So when I first started posting online, I thought, you know what, I'm going to find out how other people have got on. And they all said, you're going to get comments, you're going to get people saying you don't know what you're doing. And lo and behold, started posting online and people go, you don't know what you're doing. You failed exams and all this sort of stuff. I went, yeah, I did. That's why I post online, to help people now. It goes with the price on the ticket, I'm afraid. If you put yourself out there in the public domain, there's always going to be some keyboard warrior or anything like that. Who knows? They may even say it to this podcast and they go, oh, these two in their jumpers, they don't know what they're doing. And like, that's fine. That's everyone's entitled to their opinion on that. I can't control it. So it comes with also finding that kind of group around you who's also interested in it. So I now hang around and have catch-up calls with other content creators. And we bounce off ideas, we share what's been going on. So if you are planning on starting to post content, find other new creators and then have a little bubble of friends on there, and you're all in the same boat. So I found it very difficult talking to my normal friends about it, and they said, because they saw my videos. They saw my videos. True story, this, I don't mind this going on camera either, is I went round for a friend's birthday drinks, and oh my word, I can't believe I'm going to say this. They're all there, absolutely lovely people, and they said, "You never guess what James has been doing in his dad's office." And I went, "Oh my gosh!" So they're playing music, everyone's having drinks. I go outside for some reason, come back in, and they're playing my YouTube channel in the background and just going, "What is this, James?" And I go, "Look, that's me talking to hundreds of people, whatever." And that was when I had about 30 subscribers or something like that. It was, nothing. That same video is the first video anyone goes onto my YouTube channel now. And I say, "Oh, hello to the 200 or so subscribers." And now we've just passed 33,333. So we're a third of the way to 100K. And I'm still going to keep it there until we hit 100K. That's it. Yeah.
So who's laughing now, really?
Well, it's the sort of laughing part, but it's, I just still enjoy the process. That's it. And if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. But put it this way, I wake up every day and people message me from around the world, either, can you help me with my accounting homework? Sadly not. Or, "Thank you very much for your free videos. I now have that new job. I now passed my exam. I've now got this in my life." It's you can't buy that.
So if you're doing something you love and you're passionate about and you're getting positive results, ultimately that far outweighs the slight mockeries, the judgment that, like you said, just will be out there. And it's not even malicious sometimes, but all of the kind of positives of doing what you love, and if it's purposeful and it's got impact and you see the impact, no matter what you get in terms of negative feedback or hate, really, it just doesn't matter.
It's all how you deal with it. That's the thing. Different people deal with it in different ways. I think I set my stall out at the start that I expect it to happen because I learned from other people who'd already been through the process. So hopefully that sort of says to someone who's listening to this and they go, "Oh, okay, if I'm going to post a video online, I've got to expect that my family are going to see it. My friends are going to see it. Random people around the world are going to see it. They're not all going to like it on there." And James, the accountant, who knows nothing about marketing or social media, just started to post consistently and had these things from his friends, also family on there, where they went, "Oh, come on, is this just a fad?" sort of thing, like, "What's going on?" And then they sort of came round to it where we are in our Christmas attire. 3 years ago, my brothers and sisters clubbed together and actually got me a proper microphone on there because I was just using a free microphone that I think someone lent me on there, and it was awful, but it was still helping me to post the content. So they sort of turned the corner and went, "Hang on a second, he's getting some traction on here, and he's not going to stop." So we're recording this now, 2024, coming up to Christmas, where we'll look back on this podcast in 5 years, and you'll go, "Good grief, look what happened on them." Hopefully not wearing the same jumpers.
I mean, obviously we were talking about mental health, and I've struggled to avoid the bad side. Speaking before we sat down today, and I struggle with overconsumption. I think a lot of people who have this access to phones and who can't even actually express and realize that they're dealing with this are over-consuming and aren't maybe a missing opportunity to become creators because, trapped in the cycle of scrolling and wasting time. Do you ever kind of feel that, or does it ever happen to you? Or if it doesn't, how do you avoid it?
Well, 2 points there, isn't there? It does happen to me because like everyone, I post on the app, so you get inspiration and ideas looking through stuff, but there are some days where I go, "Oh, James, you've been sat here watching for 10 minutes or so." Now, I know some students have told me in class, like, "Oh, James, I fell asleep last night watching stuff on TikTok." I didn't realize the sort of levels that people go onto and the time spent on there. Now, what I tend to do is that everyone has that sort of click moment in their head where you go, "Right, hang on a second, this isn't right." And mine was when I had a PlayStation 4. I think it was on Call of Duty or something like that. And there's a little setting on it where you can see how many cumulative hours you've played on the game.
Yes.
And I think mine was sort of easily over a week or something. And I took a step back and went, a full week of my life has been spent on this game. And then you can see it now from your usage and time on there. I just went, again, it was another sort of podcasty thing where I went, you can either be a producer or a consumer on there. And it was the producers are making the money and the consumers help the producers make the money on there. And they're going, I'm getting all these good ideas. And I think my algorithm is going to be a lot different to yours maybe on there. Mine's very business focused and probably bits on football as well. But it's a case of working out, is this quality time spent on there? And again, once you find your niche, once you find like, this is for you, and you start seeing results and people it helps, you can't go back on there, because you just go, if every hour that I spend not doing and working on the business, then it should be another hour productively spent elsewhere. I'm into my running. I help other people online as well. Even just reading books and like keeping fit, catching up with friends, that all takes time. So I see it as an opportunity cost that's completely dead time really to me.
Almost links to what we were saying about the cost of regret. And so you're almost having that accountability, checking your screen time, actually realizing, am I happy with this exchange? Am I happy with today? 5 hours of my day was gone to social media, just consuming. And obviously for you, talking about getting inspiration, that's great. But for me, I've started now, but before I wasn't getting inspiration. I was just trapped in a cycle. But you mentioned running. And that's something that I've really got into lately. I've been on a fairly exciting weight loss journey over the last 2 years.
I've seen you running.
I've lost about 31 kilos. So
that's serious.
I'm really happy with it, and I'm gonna keep going. But that was through gym and football, but also running. And if you look at my Strava account, my selfies, I just get smaller and smaller.
Good stuff.
Which
I'll send you some kudos, very.
But it wasn't just the idea that it was contributing to my weight loss for me. It was something a bit deeper than that, and I realized that running was completely different to kind of playing football or lifting some weights in the gym. It did something to my brain, and especially achieving a 5K or something, or a 10K, or just more so a distance to me than a time. It lit up something in my brain which made me feel euphoric about the rest of my day. And I wanted to know how running, maybe it's helped your mental health, or what does running mean to you?
Oh, very good question on there again. So the running factor is you get the endorphins. Everyone knows the health factors of it, and they go, oh, look, I should do more steps and everything like that. But then there's a really good book by James Clear. I'm sure you've probably heard of it, Atomic Habits, on there, where you've got to get into, especially if you're not into running. So this is where, if we start from back to the basics of, imagine you hate running. You've not been running this year, okay? But you're thinking, I might give it a go on there. You've then got to make it as easy as possible for you to start running. So that's getting your kit out, all there. And if you don't like running, just go out, go get some more steps in, and it's the accountability. So for anyone who's watching on the podcast, I have a Garmin on here that tracks all my steps. And every day, it's one of my non-negotiables. I have at least 10,000 steps that are done every day, and it tracks it and it links it to my phone, and it's all automated. That one watch, the ROI from it is, I used to be over 16 stone. So anyone in kilograms, that's what, about 100 kilograms, something like that. And I'm down to about 88, 87 now. So 14 and a half stone. So, and that's purely from just setting yourself steps to do every day, making sure you're drinking enough water, and just leading a more sort of generally healthy life on there. But from a mental health point of view, I don't run with music on as well. I don't know about you, music.
Don't run with music.
So I did run with music, and I nearly died on there. So I went through I was coming up to these traffic lights, I had my headphones in, looked right, looked left, it was on green, started to go. And at that point, an ambulance literally went woof, straight in front of me, went through the lights, obviously on the way to the hospital. And I was so close to literally getting, I could have been a pancake that day. So from that day, I've never ran with headphones ever again on there. Only on a track, maybe, if I needed some motivation to get me going. But it's just the thoughts that go through your head. I sort of plan out my day in there, and the time just sort of flies by, really. So I'd recommend it. But for anyone who isn't into running, just start by getting out there, going for little walks. You can just do like 50 seconds walk, 10-second jog, something like that. And it will just build up and build up and build up. And the likes of parkrun. Have you done a parkrun before?
Haven't, but I'd like to.
Honestly, go to a parkrun.
Yeah.
Because then you're around people who are runners. So
Yeah.
again, this is where habits kick in, and being in the right environment. If you hang around with a load of runners, you will become a runner on there. And parkrun is you get people who come along and literally just walk it because they love the exercise and they love the community factor. So for me, it's only a massive tick, big win, and it's the accountability of Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Be there. That's it.
Would you agree with me that I think the hardest part of running isn't actually moving your feet in front of the other, it's getting out.
Yeah.
And so for the people who don't get out there at the moment and run, I like to think that we actually have the same opinion of running. You know, thinking about waking up and going for a run when it's cold, where it is a horrible idea, to be honest. With our weather recently as well, going through some storms, and it's a horrible idea. But once you're out there, once you start, it's all of those worries are gone, isn't it?
Yeah. Or you kind of get worried about what other people think of you as well on there. I mean, you've got different ends of the spectrum. You've got the likes of David Goggins at one end on there, where you're going, oh my gosh, this guy, ultra runner.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what day of the week or what weather it is. I take good inspiration from him because he was a big guy as well. And then on the other end, it's a case of, as long as you just start and get yourself out, you've got to find that reason why. And mine is especially from a work situation. You sort of, it really de-stresses me. Or if I've got a particularly big day, I will always go for a run in the morning because then I feel I've got really good energy for the rest of the day on there. So I use it as a tool to help me in my life to be more productive and other things as well. So
I think the people around me, my family, my significant other, she says she notices a difference in my demeanor, behavior, attitude, whether I've either been on a run or been on a run recently within the last day or so.
Yeah.
And I think it's when I have been on a run, my head feels clearer. And like you said, not without the music, I have never had a near-death experience.
Yeah.
Definitely won't be now. But
it's all right.
I find the conversations I have with myself when I'm running, even other exercise, I think they're the best conversations I ever have with myself.
Yeah. I bet the viewers are thinking now, which of the two have actually been for a run today? Have you been for a run today?
No, I went to judo yesterday.
Interesting.
Have you?
I've been for a run today. So yeah, maybe they'll be thinking, I don't know, maybe. So yeah, but just get out there, find like your local, you don't have to go to a run club or anything like that. Parkrun, or just find a family member, or if you, anything like that to get you going, you will not regret it on there. Again, the cost or the doubts or everything like that, just get absolutely smashed, because once you start and build the momentum up, you even get like a good pair of trainers and stuff like that. It's just makes such a difference on there.
So would you say that the learning journey of running is hard?
You're always learning on it. As to, I personally in the past didn't really take it seriously at all. I just thought it was go for a run and then have a beer afterwards and just chat with your mates. Now you get into like longer distances, half marathons, and you think, oh my word, like how good do I feel at the end of this, and the people you meet on there and the differences it can make. It's it does get a bit addictive on there, that you go, oh, how can I get that a little bit quicker? And then it affects your other areas of your life. So I become more productive at work. I eat more healthily on there, generally in a lot better mood. There's a lot of other positive side effects to it.
I think building it as a habit is important. And I read this in this book called The Power of Habit. And research suggests that our daily actions, 40% controlled by habitual thinking, which is actually the least amount of thinking. It's something we just do, like we wake up and use your right hand or your left hand to brush your teeth. You don't change that, and you don't think about it. And the way our minds program is to build habits, and then the mind doesn't have to think about the habit because it knows your body will do it, and it's safe, or if it's healthy or if it's unhealthy, it won't give any brain power to that, so it can give it to other things, creative thoughts. And so building all of these positives you spoke about, what it's done to you and what it's done to me, building it as a habit, so keeping it achievable and keeping it fun and lighthearted, so you said with friends and connecting with people through it, helps to build it in a habit. Whereas like I think it's not quite at a habit stage for me. I think it's like something I just go, I'll do it once a week, or whenever my friend's free, we'll go on a run together.
I get what you mean. Yeah. The other thing to add to that, to help people out who are listening, is it's the habits are one thing, but then it's how you identify as another. So this evening, I'm catching up with a few friends here in Lincoln, and they all know because I identify as a runner on there. They will all ask me, like yesterday, have you been on a run today, James? And I'll go, yes.
Yeah.
And then they'll go, right, what races have you got coming up? Because that's what they think about in their head that they know about me. It's like accountant, YouTube recording, and runner most of the time.
Yeah.
And likes real ale. That's probably it on there. So it's like, think to yourself, like, what do people think about you as to the dynamics you bring into their life, and what are you radiating out in your social media presence and in your activity mainly? Because it's the consistency as well, where for me now, I've got to the stage of, it doesn't matter the weather, the time or anything like that, how I'm really feeling, I will always go out there and do a run or do some exercise at some point. Yeah, it's a non-negotiable. That's it.
I think I really enjoy speaking about the learning process a bit, and I think I'm going to slightly flip that conversation back into academia and that kind of side of learning. So you've done an undergraduate degree, professional qualification, and a postgraduate degree in finance and accounting.
Yes.
And all the other little stuff as well. That's a journey for mastery, really, isn't it? And I think it's really admirable. It's something that I would love to recreate. But how was that journey for you? You know, aside from the kind of running journey, this idea of, you know, how many years would that have been altogether?
Yeah.
Focused on one
area.
kind of topic?
Yeah. Well, it's always, in the past when I was at school, I've always been sort of entrepreneurial, thinking about business. And there'll be lots of people listening to this going, I really want to start getting into businesses and stuff. And when I was picking my degree, I was doing a bit of research. I'm like, well, who are all these people that run the big businesses, the PLCs and whatnot? And it's over 50% of board members are qualified accountants, because you've got to know about your cash flow, your profits. These are the reasons why businesses fail. So I thought, well, I've got to become I'm going to do it myself, I've got to know the numbers. So that's why I picked accounting and finance. Then I realized you've got to go and do your professional qualification. So you've got ACCA, ICAW, CIMA, but this can be the same for if you're doing business and management. You've got this CMI, something like that. But these are the things to help you progress in your career. And you should always want to have that sort of learning mindset, that you don't want to stand still, because otherwise things like AI, for instance, blockchain technology, other advances, or even just people skills and just learning different factors, you will be left behind on there. So it's not just get the qualifications and then, all good, have a pina colada or something. It's like, it's going to be continuous from there. And just sort of looking at the next thing. Whereas at the moment, got the qualifications, now just sort of maybe scaling my businesses, or who knows, a PhD maybe. We'll see.
I was really interested in what you did your master's on. You did it on looking at the financial impacts of investments into grassroots football in the UK.
It was
2017.
It was very good. Yeah. It's on LinkedIn.
Exactly. What would your next topic be? What's the next thing that interests you to go and research?
It would probably be something to do with entrepreneurs on there, as to helping people to get started on in their entrepreneurial journey. I would say, from it, just taking my experiences of all my businesses are completely organically grown. We've got no debt on there. Basically started with no budget, and working out sort of like what is the psychology behind getting people to make that first jump and step, and then looking at maybe what was the outcome. Has the business grown to 5 figures, 6 figures? Is it still around in 3 to 5 years? Something on those lines. Plus as well, it's got to be interesting. Well. If I'm not interested, I'm not going to do it.
So is that kind of part of your learning journey? You spoke about your motivation to go into accounting, and did you find it interesting as a career, or did you have to become interested in it?
Are we talking about the accounting exams, or are we talking about the
undergraduate accounting exams, postgraduate?
I was always interested in it because that's my sort of field. So again, if you're into pottery or if you're into marketing or whatever it is, you've got to be thinking, how can I breach and get up to the 1% in my field on there? Because you want to maybe specialize, and then that's again what you're going to be renowned as or known as for your particular field. So again, it doesn't come overnight. It takes years and years and years. You look at all the icons over the years, most people refer to like Michael Jordan or Cristiano Ronaldo or someone like that in sport. And then they go, well, that is thousands and thousands and thousands of hours in one particular area. And you've got the likes of Ed Sheeran calls it the 10,000 hour rule. Like everyone sees like he plays that one song and everything like that. And you go, oh, isn't that great? Yes, but he did years and years of busking and playing in small gigs and all these sort of things. So it's the journey of expecting it as well and failing and then going again and going again and going again.
Was doubt ever a big part of your journey? Because I think from my very short journey navigating just 3 years of university, I think I've agreed with peers in the same space as me that there's been so much doubt. And maybe it's more now than it was a little bit before, because it just feels like with the emergence of new technologies and the way the world is changing, I feel there's more doubt and more fear and more second guessing of ourselves. And you have to navigate any of that?
There'll always be an element of doubt because you'll be trying things that you've never done before and you're going, yeah. Take my example of my pokey YouTube channel and posting stuff on TikTok through my sister's old phone. Okay. I get an email from a company that says, oh, let's collaborate on this and we'll pay you, I don't know, call it £200 or £300 for a video. And I just read the email and go, come on, sure, what? Yeah. Really? Like me? I'm there in my pajamas just typing away and just like, is this really it? Like I record the videos on my laptop camera. We have no budget. Like literally I have free editing software and to do it myself. And you go, companies want to reach out on it.
Yeah.
You can compete. That's it now. It's the world we live in, but it's then just pushing yourself out there. And there'll always be that element of doubt. But then once you start to build momentum of more and more videos, more and more content, or whichever field you're in, whether it's producing records or drawings, you'll go, oh, no, I'm starting to back myself now. And I'm at the stage now where I can sort of take it or leave it on. If a company gets in touch, I go, well, okay, do you resonate with my values? Do you fit into my area? And you can actually just say no to it. So it's really just to encourage someone to say, just go for it because, what have you got to lose? In my case, it was nothing because the business was set up on nothing on there.
It's kind of like, sounds like doubt is an early manifestation of regret. And if you don't get started and you allow doubt to hold you down to not starting that business or creating social media or whatever, like you said about whatever someone's purpose is, if you let that doubt control you, that's in 10, 15 years time, you're going to be filled with regret. So, hey.
It'll always be there. But again, it's powering through and then, I mean, take it, we're coming up to New Year. Everyone looks back and they go, oh, what a year it's been and all these sort of things. And you go, oh my word. Now look back 5 years ago to where you were and then you go to where you are now. You're thinking, oh my word, what's the trajectory going to be like in the next 5 years? So most people think in terms of like days, weeks and months, whereas most successful people who I follow and learn from online, they think in terms of years and decades, like, where are they going to be in 40 or where are they going to be at 50? And it's like, oh my God, well, touch wood, make it to 40 or 50. That's another thing on there. But it's just thinking long term. Because we're in a society now, especially online with digital media and social media, everyone just wants the short-term wins. They just want to buy the Bitcoin and it go up by 15% when they go to bed and all this kind of stuff. But I'm always playing the long game as to pinging people, messages, thanking people as well. All these little things that people just don't see go such a long way because then people remember you and then that's why you'll get the call and maybe someone else won't.
So do you think thinking long-term is a part or plays a part in how you keep your mindset open to learning things? So instead of it being short term and very quick, you keep your goals and your ideas long term, like those relationships, and that keeps you open.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously still have short term goals on there, whether it's I don't personally have bought a house yet or anything like that. If it happens, but it would be a bad financial decision. It always takes money out of your pocket. That's my opinion. I'm sure we'll get some decent comments on that. But the other things are thinking long term is it's such a concept that lots of people just want instant satisfaction on there. Whereas I'm interested in the long term picture, whether it's through investments on there, friendships with a partner, whatever it may be. It's the delayed gratification that take investing, for example. If you invest in an index fund for 30 years and you invest £100 a month, you're probably going to have about £500,000 sat in that account.
Yeah.
Sounds great. However, you've got to do it over 30 years and you're going to have to wait for it. How many people do it? Well, in the UK currently, I think it's about 5% of people, maybe even less than that, have a stocks and shares ISA to actually do it. it's a no-brainer, but you've got to be able to willing to do it and set the long-term goals for it.
So for really, say like Bitcoin, for example,
Mm-hmm.
something that I saw is that if you had invested in Bitcoin 10 years, which is such a big if statement,
Yeah.
but you would have to have had the nerves for it to go on skyrocket up and then almost lose half or more than half of its value on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
And that if statement of patience long term, I've got to think that obviously we don't know, we don't have the information of who is being that long-term Bitcoin holder. It's very anonymous, but I don't think there is a lot of them, because I think that long-term game, watching investments crash like that, the volatility, it's something that reason I'm not too interested in cryptocurrencies. Not sure what your take on the whole cryptocurrencies is a thing that we'll get into.
Yeah.
But I think they're too risky, and especially with the volatility, it really gives me the shivers.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, my approach on it is a concept in finance called fire money. It's called on there. So fire money, it's sort of a basis of, if this money that you have in your hand was to catch fire and you could never touch it again, would you lose sleep at night over it? And the answer to that would be, of course. It's like, nope, wouldn't lose any sleep on it. It's okay. It's all good. Well, that's the amount that I invest into cryptocurrency, that if it caught fire, I'd go, oh, you know what? It's a bit of an annoyance, but hey ho, on there. And I just dollar cost average every month, certain amount goes in. And if the market's up, it goes in. If the market's down, it goes in. And if it comes off long term, fantastic on there. If it goes to zero, it's fire money. I can sleep at night. It's the people who are leveraged 90% of their total asset allocation, or in simple terms, it's like all the assets they have are all in cryptocurrency. I go, hang on a second, yours is 90%, mine is sort of like 2 to 3% on there. Whereas if you it's all about putting in the time and understanding the knowledge part of it. So if you want to go buy a house, research about how to buy a house and find out from people who have done it before. Same with investing, with index funds. Historically, index funds and the indexes have always recovered. 2007 crash, 2020 from the pandemic, we got the dot-com crash, 2001, 2002, all recovered on there. So if you leave it long term, you will make money on there. But people are not willing to ride out, because it's all about the emotions of it. You're talking about the emotions. I've taken all the emotion out of it because I don't log into my accounts. It's all automated and I don't touch it. That's it.
So the key to investing is diversify. Specifically with what are considered maybe riskier investments. Try and put it in a point where you've done the research and you've happy with the decision, which could go up, it could go down.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, and just for the record, the best investors are, well, two, technically three people. First one is the people who have lost their password, so they can't actually get into their account. They are forced to leave it. And then the other best investors are sadly the people who pass away, because again, they can't access their account on there. It's the people who just don't touch it. If you don't touch it, leave it, let it grow. That's the best one. It's the dipping in and out. And this people have got really obsessed with day trading and all this Forex and all this kind of stuff. And I go, the data tells us 96% of day traders lose money. It's the Warren Buffetts, the Ray Dalios on there who make money on there. Or maybe you've just got a bit lucky on one stock or something like that, which can happen. But doing it and picking it long term, you are most likely going to lose money.
Yeah.
That's the be all and end all. That's it. That's why I go, cool, index funds, automate, done. That's it.
I've got an interesting question here, which
shoot, go for it.
Builds off of that. What do you think is going to happen next in terms of a macro financial situation? Because from what I feel like I've learned, and I'm nowhere near anywhere to be giving financial advice, but I saw this chart and it was kind of what it showed is the amount of investments in stocks and securities at the moment is one of the highest it's been in a very long time. And I think what that makes me think is that if there was going to be a situation which emerged, something geopolitically maybe, would people then lose trust and we'd have a huge crash again?
Yeah,
is that something you...
Well, I've not seen your chart, but I'll pitch you something that Warren Buffett always refers to about the stock market. It's always built on fear and greed on there. So when people are greedy, you should be fearful. Okay, so people are getting greedy at the moment. Bitcoin's gone to all-time highs. S&P's gone to all-time highs on there. Still, you will invest dollar cost average on there, but I would not be putting in lump sums on there. Again, this is not financial advice. This is my opinion.
Yes.
But the flip side is when people are fearful, like when COVID happened,
Yes.
like when the financial crisis happened, you get these asset classes that go down to all-time lows, not all-time, well, short-term lows on there. Might get a 20, 30% reduction. Then that's where you should be greedy and deploy your assets such as cash and then buy asset classes on there. Again, it comes down to what you understand about the markets and you're learning on there. So good books by the likes of Tony Robbins. I have the expectation that there will be a correction or there will be an actual bear market on there that's going to go down. So it's going to be a 10% correction or 20% on there. It is going to happen. It happens cyclically on there. We're just at the point now where we're up at the top.
Yeah.
So I'm there going, it's going to happen. No one knows it's going to happen. No one knows when it's going to happen on there. So if you go onto Bloomberg or something like that and people go, oh, it's going to happen. You don't know. You don't know that at all. Nobody knows. But there are some triggers that we've seen in the past, but not every financial correction is exactly the same. So we had the housing crisis. We've had links to oil prices in the past. But the interesting one recently is the quantitative easing of COVID, which unprecedented we've never seen before. So we've got all this money being pumped into the economies on there, and we've got the other aspects like housing, changes in government, cost of living crisis, and you think something has got to go, but nobody knows what it is. Now, you touched on it before, like maybe geopolitical, so you've got impact of potential wars or countries, or say, for instance, if there was a nuclear strike, something like that, that would strike a massive amount of fear and the markets would crash and tank. Possible one on there. Next one would be a sort of cyber attack on maybe one of the stock markets on there. Again, highly unlikely, but it's something that could happen. Or you could have something on the lines of like an Enron, what happened in the late 90s, massive billion-pound company. But again, the amount of infrastructure now in place in terms of the rules and around auditing and things shouldn't happen on there. But there's always going to be something that happens to flush some of the cash out of the system. But nobody knows what it's going to be or when it's going to happen, but it will happen.
Yeah.
That's as much as I can go into for you. So please expect it to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the final question.
Shoot.
It was an incredibly fun conversation. If there's a mistake you've made in your career, and you've spoken about the learning journey, and you could help me avoid it as best as you can through a lesson, what mistake is it? And what advice would you give me to avoid it?
Oh, gosh, interesting. Well, I'm 33 next year. I had to think about that. I still feel about sort of 27. But how old are you now? 22. 22. Everyone who's listening to this going, 22. Gosh, you made of magic at 22. I would say it's the time factor. And especially in your 20s, use it as a learning tool on there. Lots of people get roped into like how much money they can make in short term. But if you actually get the right mentorship or work for the right company or position yourself geographically in the right area and take the risk, 20s is the best time to do it, because lots of my friends are getting married, having kids, getting mortgages, and that becomes more and more reasons as to can't do this because of X, Y, and Z. So when you're in your 20s, you've got little to no commitments on there.
Yeah.
Go and do that backpacking trip. Go and start that business, because the worst thing that could happen is, oh, it doesn't work out. Come back, maybe live at home, whatever, for a bit, or just consolidate yourself. But when you've got 2 or 3 children or a wife or a partner or anything like that, that's when you go, hang on a second, this burden on me, that's obviously not a bad thing on there, having a family, but it's another reason as to why it could be very difficult. And then coming on to that, it's when you're in your 20s, this is what not many people talk about. When you're in your 20s, you've got so much more energy than when you're in your, say, 30s or 40s on there, that you can work the 12, 14 hour days. You can put in a massive shift and still wake up the next day and feel perfectly fine on there. So use it to your advantage. Put yourself out there. And lastly, to link into that is just don't leave anything on the table for the day. Like absolutely hammer on being as productive as you possibly can, doing the things that you enjoy. And don't waste those times of just wasting time. And I look back now and I go, I could have maybe done a heck of a lot more if I'd have allocated my younger time better. But then I go, well, I allocated it into the exams. I still went traveling. I still did lots of things that I enjoy, but I think I still could have eked out a lot more. And that's why now in my 30s, I'm still there going, oh my word, we've just got to get so productive because you just don't know how much time you've got in this world.
Yeah.
And little things like, you just go around and like, gosh, I'm going to say it, but I'm at the stage now where some of my friends are unfortunately like they have unfortunately passed away on that. And it happens like these are people in their 20s. And you think they've got the whole life ahead of themselves. Other things that come up in the news about, like there was a guy the other day, fit as a fiddle, cycling around France, did some of the Tour de France routes and stuff like that. And then out of nowhere, fit as a fiddle, doesn't drink, doesn't do anything of any substances or anything like that. Gets bowel cancer out of nowhere, has an upset stomach, gets a scan and said you've got type 2 bowel cancer. Oh my gosh. It's just little things like that. So don't leave anything on the table. You want to go do that trip, go to that trip. You want to ask out that boy or girl, go do it. No one cares. Alex Harmosy talks about it, like in 3 generations, no one will remember you. No one will remember your name on there. So why would you care what other people think? And just go for it. So yeah, that's kind of my mindset in my head. So when anyone sees me post stuff online, post on LinkedIn, see that I'm doing stuff, they go, oh, that's his mindset, you know? And then fill yourself around with people who also have that mindset, because otherwise they'll hold you back, I would say. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
That was incredible. I think I'll be spending a long time thinking about what you just said. And that just leads on nicely to wrap up this episode and just say a huge thank you to James. It was a very quick and impromptu kind of decision to come on the podcast. Spotted an opportunity, I think we both did.
Yeah, it's good.
But it was an incredible conversation that I've grown tremendously from. And if you do want to learn more about what James is doing and how he's helping people develop their financial literacy and pass their ACCA exams, please give James a follow. We'll put all of his social medias where you can find him in the links. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your day.
Cheers.